I'm not going to say a single word about the Tennessee Titans record against the Indianapolis Colts because I was a punter, and there's no reason for me to talk about that. With that being said, we did not punt much against the Tennessee Titans, so you probably have no clue who I am to begin.
Look, I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, call it audible. Serving up them Hail Marys till the game over with the showstopper. So hot, you gotta blow on it. I said I'll huff and I'll puff, then I'll pass to my left while I'm looking to my right. Hit them right in the chest. It be looking like magic, better give me the throne. I ain't talking about Patrick, but I rep my home. I'm never at the end of my zone. I'm bad to the bone, eating up these pig skins like they chicharrones, and you a douche cabron. Mira, mira at the mirror on the wall. I'm the greatest of them all. They gon' put me in the hall. Your name is only written in a bathroom stall. Quit your stalling and make a play. My drive too long, pop the clutch, I don't pump the brakes. I know what it takes to gain the muscle, get rugged. These butterfingers be fumbling, squash the scrimmage and rub it in Robitussin. How I give them concussion, they seeing double, they rushing and pass the shovel, the dirt and rubble, I bury them under it. Stay in your huddle and get 10 yards back, never turn your back. I'ma pull your flag, I go full contact, out punch, out kick like a shotgun.
Yeah, we are back. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas. I'm gonna say Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever holiday you celebrate during this season. May it be happy and joyous. May you got time to spend time with your families. How y'all doing tonight, fellas? How was your holiday weekend?
It was good.
It was good. All right. Good. Glad everybody was able to do the things that they liked. I know for us dads, it's what we call sock season. So yes, so best believe, I might still wear the holes with a little bit of the rip in the toe, but you know what? I got some fresh ones. Okay, so if you see my socks, don't judge me, but you won't. So, but either way, don't judge me. But yes, welcome back to the HorseShoe Mob Podcast, where we're talking about everything Colts. And, we don't need to, say anything about certain teams that hasn't already been said. Shout out to North Carolina and West Virginia for the Duke's Mayo Bowl game. I'm sure that there were plenty of a certain AFC South fan base that just happens to be very, very close to Nashville.
Was it
that
in
enjoyed
Nashville?
that game.
Was it in Nashville?
No, it wasn't in Nashville, no.
That was definitely their favorite bowl game to watch, though.
Oh, absolutely.
They definitely were circling that. I tagged them earlier in the post. The Titans fan got a podcast, and they were quick to jump on it. They had a jersey and everything for West Virginia. I'm not even playing. They're like, yeah, we're ready to roll. Here's my West Virginia jersey.
No. That's the reason. That's what makes it funny is that I know that you're not playing. I know that like they definitely did come out there and say, "Oh yeah, you got the Mayo. It's on." So,
ready to roll.
Let's go. But hey, welcome back to the podcast. Like I said, we're coming to you with everything Colts. So yeah, we're gonna have a pretty good show. It's just like didn't have the outcome that we wanted, but we're gonna get into that. But before we do, let's go ahead and get into the guys we have with us. I'm gonna say he now doesn't have to go by a moniker. We're just gonna go ahead and just say that welcome back, Harish Nukala, everybody.
What's up?
And then we have with us the silent assassin, the man who lets everybody know, when you're dumb, you're dumb. And if there's one person that knows when somebody's dumb, it's Austin. And I appreciate that about him. We have with us Austin Cook, everybody.
What's up? I'm Austin.
All right. And I'm just your friendly neighborhood, Chris Jackson. So So let's get into it. After we go ahead and just let you know to make sure that you visit www.fanbattlesports.com, where you can go for all your articles. You have past podcasts, you can see bios, you'll be able to see everything from us on the website, and this way, like I said, you'll be able to get better acquainted and get all the content news that you need. So make sure you're going to www.fanbattlesports.com. And also we know Josh isn't with us tonight, currently dealing with family emergency, so definitely praying for you, bro. Just hope everything's working out. But yeah, man, let's just go ahead and get into it. We're not going to get into the game first. We're going to get into something Colts related, but it's a little bit it's I'm not going to say that it's a scar, but it's just more so like wow. Like why? Just why? So Shaq Leonard, um who was released during this season, signed with the Eagles. And he had a pretty good game this past game. And he said that basically the team wrote him off. And I it's a little bit of shade being thrown, but at the same time it's like, knowing what we know, like how do we feel about this comment? Because it's like it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like it is what it is. He wasn't performing up to what his contract was, and
Yeah.
they didn't want to keep paying him, and they wanted to, I guess, let EJ Speed have a bigger role.
Mm-hmm.
So, as much as it hurts to hear him say that about us, I still hope that he continues to get better. But it is what it is.
Yeah. What you, Harish?
Yeah. Like, get over it, dude. Like honestly, at this point, it's gotten beyond, Shaq, Darius, whatever the hell his name is. Like, get over it. You came in, you ran into a scheme that you weren't a good fit for. You ran around looking like deer in the headlights when you did play. When you didn't, and then you couldn't play for most of the time the last 2 years for this defense. Had great years here. Thank you for everything you've done. We've moved on. Why don't you move on too? I get that the Colts probably didn't handle this the best way, and that's probably where kind of a lot of this animosity has come from him.
Mm-hmm.
You're title chasing now. Go chase the title. Don't worry about us. We'll be fine without you. We got 2 linebackers that are doing just fine. They're doing fine when you're sitting on the sideline here. They're going to do just fine when you're sitting there with the Eagles. Honestly, I'm just tired of it. Like, move on.
Yeah. No, it's and I'm gonna kind of double down on that point because it's like why wait till now? Like why wait till now? Because the thing is, he's had 3 games in this system, and with him having 3 games in the system, I would have thought that like when he went in, his initial comments were that he was surprised. It's a humbling experience. He knows that he still has a lot left. But then after you have a good game, because mind you, in the first, I believe it's the first 2, or I'm going to say, let's just say for the game against Seattle, I mean, he was in a blender. They were throwing screens, and right where he's supposed to go, they're running right by him. Kenneth Walker on a counter ran right by him, and he looked stiff. And so the thing is, I'm happy that he's getting back to where he's supposed to be. I'm happy that he's, getting back into form. But nobody wrote you off. The problem was that it just didn't work out.
Right.
It just wasn't working. And so, like I said, I get it. I understand the frustration. I understand exactly what's happening regarding that. And I understand the thought process. He was here. He was signed to a great contract long term. And then he ended up getting released. So I can see how there would be some hurt there. I could see how, there would be, some feelings there. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you had a great game. Just keep on focusing on you, because I mean, you've done what you set out to do in that game. I just, like I said, it's just like we just don't want to hear the sound bites because we saw that game that you had the week before. And just because you're playing against this sad ass Giants team doesn't mean that it makes it any different. Like that Giants team was just they're not that good. So you know what? Either way, whatever. So moving on to this, because this game was, I'm gonna say, even though many said, yeah, we can afford to drop this one. You want to know how I knew that this wasn't going to be a game that was going to be a good one for us? Last Monday, before the game, they said, "Oh, the Colts are 15-2 all time versus the Falcons."
No.
As soon as you hear that prior to a game, you already know. You're just like, this ain't gonna go well. And sure enough, it did not go well. So Austin, I just break down for us, just like from kind of like from the start of the game, what went wrong?
I thought we were on a bye. We played this weekend.
Yeah,
it
so
sure
we might
did
as well
feel
have
that
been on
way.
a bye, but the only thing is you can't lose on a bye technically. So yeah,
Sure felt that way.
Yeah, so like we just didn't come out hot at all. Like it's like we overlooked them, which we were afraid might happen, and we didn't tackle well, which was weird because we usually tackle pretty well. Like Jonnu Smith looked like the top receiver tight end in the league, and that should never happen. We just didn't do anything well. Gardner Minshew couldn't get the ball down. He was overthrowing everybody. We didn't have a run game. Just nothing went our way.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad game. I'm gonna and Harish, I'll have you get to your thoughts on the game, but how badly or matter of fact, not even how badly, how much of a case did Michael Pittman make for his importance to this offense? Because let's be honest, look like trash, absolute trash out there.
Yeah, it just goes to show, man. Just another week of it's we gotta resign Michael Pittman Jr. like tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, it's frustrating. We had this is. I think this is the second time. I'm looking back at the schedule. I think it's that Browns game. We had an opportunity like this where I think like everybody in the division loses. We had an opportunity to gain a game, and in this case, you had an opportunity to take the lead in the division. We could be sitting first in the division today.
Yeah,
and it's not like this Falcon. Tyler Heinicke is not good. I'm sorry.
No.
They don't give the ball to their best player. Jonnu Smith was out there looking like Randy Moss. They don't. Bijan Robinson. I told you guys Bijan Robinson was going to run over this team because this team can't tackle a nosebleed. Like,
yeah,
they can't stop a nosebleed. Sorry, not tackle a nosebleed. They probably couldn't do that either. But, takeaways from this game: fire Gus Bradley tomorrow. He should have stayed in Atlanta. That dude is hot trash. And start looking for your defensive coordinator for next year. Look, Shane Steichen, whatever he does the rest of the season, he's already, in my eyes, had a successful season. Right? We're sitting at 8-7. I'm just being honest, I don't care about making the playoffs. If we make it, cool. If we don't, it's not the end of the world for me. This team is already overachieved.
Yeah.
I think this really tells us how we are actually probably a lot closer than we think we are. Just because the coaching on this team has been good.
Yeah.
The coaching job that Shane Steichen has done has been far from excellent. So now you go into the offseason, get a defensive coordinator that has a brain, get Anthony Richardson healthy, get Michael Pittman Jr., another wide receiver in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And let's party, man. I think next year this team is going to be a very good team next year. And I think I'm just taking everything week by week. I'm going through the motions, and whatever happens, happens. But I'm already I'm looking forward to next year already.
Yeah, and like I said, and I know that we talk to a lot of Colts content creators. I know there's Colts fan Cole on Twitter, which is like friend of the podcast. Yep. It's just like I think it's hard. It's hard not to think about the future in some way, shape, or form because it wasn't too long ago. I think it was maybe not this past offseason, but the offseason before last, when we got Matt Ryan, nobody wanted to come to this team. This team was probably the most undesirable that it had been, right? So now we see that, you are in a three-way tie in the AFC South currently, right? And then also, with the three-way tie that you have, the Jags right now probably look the worst that they've possibly ever been. You don't know what Trevor you're going to get on a daily basis. The Texans right now have to go ahead and go in. I mean, they're playing against the Titans who, I mean, they're eliminated from playoff contention, but right now it's just like they're just out here just trying to, fight for jobs and do what they need to do. So ultimately, I think it's very, very fair to say that this division, if we go ahead and we end up winning out, is very easily ours.
Yep.
But the question is, it's like what type of team is going to go out there? Because we saw that this Falcons game was supposed to be the type of gimme that they said it was going to be, or that it's just like this is a Falcons team that couldn't get out of their own way. And then here we are, like I said, losing 29-10 to a team that, I mean, really, Bijan, I think he had 12 for 72. Tyler Algier had 69 yards. Like, we couldn't tackle. We couldn't do anything. It looked like they ripped the page right out of the Bengals playbook with, the way that they threw screens at us and the way that, we didn't have an answer for anything that they were doing offensively, especially with the playmakers that they had.
Yeah. It just came down to just tackling at the end of the day, right? Like, they're not like Tyler Algier. How many times did he just run the ball? Not forget him, catching the ball and running over guys, but just, a rush out of the backfield, literally running straight down a halfback dive, and nobody on the inside where the strength of the defense is, or going outside, and nobody's tackling. It was a frustrating game to watch in general. I think the defense is the cause for this. Honestly, like, this should not have been a tough game plan. Tackle the damn ball carrier, get them off the field, give opportunities to your offense. It's really that simple to me. I don't know. It's just one of those. We've had these a lot of these types of games over the last 5 years where they just come out and play 60 minutes of flat football.
Yeah.
And it's just another one of those games that you can tack on to, like, the 2 years ago against the Jags in Jacksonville, where you had a chance to get to the playoffs by victory. Today, or this last Sunday, where you have the opportunity to take the lead in the division, and honestly probably put it away this week, because neither the Jags nor the Texans are playing well right now.
They're not.
And they just come off this big blowout of the Steelers, and they came looking like that. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I was gonna ask, like, did the team get beat, or did they beat themselves? But I think after both you guys' answers, it's kind of both. But so the thing is, another thing that we heard was, fans saying, just get rid of Gus Bradley. But then there was also people who made the case that, you have multiple guys out when it comes to the secondary, just kind of having to work with what he has. Like, are we putting the success and the failures of the defense, are we putting that on Gus Bradley? Or, I mean, is this like more of a personnel thing?
It's on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you gotta, at some point, the coaches have to change something. Because, like you said, the Bengals game was just like this one. We played bad. So, like, it just can't happen, especially right now when we are fighting for the division. So, yes, the players need to play better, but the coach needs to take responsibility for that as well.
You almost start to wonder, what are they actually practicing in practice? Like, and I hear coaches say this a lot. We had an excellent week of practice this week. And Shane, I'm sure Shane probably at some point, this is a great week of practice. The team practiced very, very well. So what exactly did they practice that they came out, look? And then after the game, it's like, I'm not really sure what happened. We practiced so well last week. Everybody looked so focused, and then all of a sudden that didn't happen. So did they practice or did they not practice? What is actually being practiced that made you feel so confident that they were practicing so well? And that's probably the next thing that you start to question from a defensive standpoint is, what did they actually practice that was so awesome?
Yeah. But I think also it's that whole, they had a great week of practice thing was just like, kind of practicing some of those things that we've seen. Because if we're honest, this offense, as the season has went along, it hasn't really looked the same. And I
No.
think with the way that the offense is set up with it, with having so many different variations and having so many things that they're able to do, I think it's just like hats off when Shane Steichen says it's just like we had a good week of practice. I imagine that it's once again throwing more concepts in, because you have to remember that you're also throwing in different offensive concepts. You're also throwing in different people, different types of I'm going to say different types of formations, basically throwing people off, and you're doing all this with Gardner Minshew. And I mean, like I said, it's just like, and I'm not going to say that he's like bad or sorry or anything, but the thing is, it's just like Gardner Minshew is a backup. Let's call a spade a spade. Gardner Minshew is a backup, and that's who he always has been. And he is actually just, I mean, he's doing well. He's doing much better than expected. Like I said, it's just like this is the most wins that he's had in his career, after those first 2 years with, Jacksonville and then being on the Eagles and not really playing much of anything. So, I think it's Shane Steichen definitely does need to get like more credit, more of what he needs to, because I mean, he's been the architect of this offense.
Yeah.
Well, him and Jim Bob Cooter. So yes.
Now that's a guy that doesn't get enough credit. Is Jim Bob Cooter.
Oh yeah, because he's doing the Lord's work with Gardner Minshew. So I can only say but so much when it comes to that.
Keep his name like under the table. Just don't let it get out there, or he'll go be a head coach somewhere.
No, I think honestly, like I think he will be back, and the only reason why I think he'll be back is because of the fact that he's still doing all this without Anthony Richardson, and the fact that you have Anthony Richardson back next season, you have him healthy, then you'll really be able to show exactly what you're able to do. It's kind of like how everything's happening with Ben Johnson, right? Ben Johnson was supposed to go out last year for potentially being a head coach. I mean, this is the offensive coordinator from Detroit. So he was supposed to be going out last year, talked to a couple teams, was fielding some offers, and then said, nope, I'm going back. And then now this Detroit team, who defensively they're decent, but offensively they've just been firing on all cylinders with Jared Goff under center.
Yep.
That means that now it's just like he showed that here's what I can do. Here's what we're able to do with what we have. And, this is what we're looking for. And I mean, there's going to be teams who are going to be dogfighting to get him on their team as a head coach just because of the fact that he's just had a fantastic season.
Jim Bob Cooter's been a coordinator in multiple places for a very long time. I feel like if he wanted to, and he's had some good success, right? I feel like at this point, if he wanted to be a head coach somewhere, shouldn't he have already had his opportunity?
So if I'm looking at Jim Bob Cooter, like with the way that he's been, I want to say that I think in order to be a head coach, you have to be able to do like something, right? So the thing is, he was the Broncos offensive assistant for 1 year in 2013. He was the New York Jets running back coach up until for 2019, and then he was the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator from 2015 to 2018.
Right, that's what it was.
So
they were terrible.
Yeah, so they really weren't that great. I think one of those years was the year that Jim Caldwell was there.
Yeah.
So, like I said, so that's kind of what you have. That's kind of what you're looking at when it comes to him. I just think that maybe it's just like this is probably going to be his tryout because of the fact that now it's just like there's a team that has had some success where he can say, hey, this is exactly what we're looking at. This is what I'm doing. And, this is what I'm able to do for you. So.
Right. Fair enough.
Now, as far as the, or I'm going to say as far as the actual team goes, right? Because the team's still tied. Now, The other thing is that, like I said, this team has double the wins they had last year. 2 games to go, which means that you potentially could end up going 10-7, 9-8, or even 8-9.
Mhm.
But does this team being able to succeed, given everything in the situation, injuries, having the backup quarterback playing QB all season, the suspensions, everything that's happened, and still being able to be 8-7, do guys look at that when it comes to free agency and say, hey, that might be a place that I want to go to in terms of being a contender or in terms of being a desired team that guys want to go to in the offseason?
I would say yes, just based off of how good Coach Steichen has been. You have AR coming back. I feel like players do look at AR as somebody who could be special.
Yeah.
You got players like Zaire Franklin, who's leading the league in tackles. Just things like that all add up to. I feel like it is a good destination for potential free agents to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a good destination from you look at AR, you look at some of the other guys that are there, you look at what they're building. I think that the problem continues to be, number one, it's Indiana, right? Nobody wants to move to the state of Indiana. Let's just call a spade a spade. I hear a lot of people even in Indianapolis are trying to get out of Indianapolis, like citizens inside of the city. So that doesn't bode well for them. I'm still not convinced Chris Ballard is a spender. Like it, in order to attract even mid-tier free agents, right? You've got to spend a little bit, and having a budget on every player that you're willing to spend for isn't going to help us get the players that we probably need to take that next level. You're going to need another corner. You've drafted corners for 6 years. You got one, maybe two.
No,
right?
no, he did. He hasn't been drafted corners for 6 years. So my personal position group, like the cornerback position, only because it's just like played in games. It's just like I played wide receiver, played cornerback. That's always what I look for. There's been very little investment in terms of cornerback on this team.
So you had Rock Ya-Sin, right? That was one. That he was playing well and they got rid of him. Think about if you had Rock Ya-Sin with Juju and Kenny Moore right now. Like, you'd probably be set at the position, right? Maybe you might be set. You might be really good. You could turn probably, and obviously, they take a shot for Stephon Gilmore. It works well, but the rest of the team is a disaster.
I guess. No, absolutely.
The Rodgers thing doesn't really work out because he was too busy spending money on the team. So I think they've had their fair share of trying to make that position work, and it just hasn't happened. Except you've done a trade, you've done free agency, you've done draft. So you've done a trade and you've done the draft. You've never really went out and spend on any top tier positions to make things work.
Yeah,
or try to make things work.
And you know what? I think now the question is going to be: is he going to do that now? Right? Because you have to remember that all except for maybe this year, for example, you're not paying any money to a quarterback, so you have cap space. I think it's just like the numbers right now. It's just like we'd have somewhere around possibly 80 million before paying Pittman, whenever they decide to pay Pittman.
Yeah.
So it's not like the money won't be there. It's just whether or not it's just like he's going to actually just go ahead and say, hey, I need to sew this up because, we talked about it in the beginning of the season. It's just like, go out and get a guy like Marcus Peters. Go out and get a guy that's another veteran cornerback so that this way, the guys who need to develop like Juju, like Jalen Jones, they can actually go and develop and they can really just come along, a little bit slower as opposed to now where it's just like, Juju is cornerback too.
Yep.
So here, and then but let's pivot to something else because this right here is something that I'm tired of seeing this debate. And I'm tired of seeing these words being thrown around. Generational and elite. Generational and elite I believe, are two of the most overused terms in regards to quarterbacks, and well, on the college level and on the pro level. Because in the college level, it's just like, they keep on using this term generational quarterbacks. Like, I think people keep saying that Trevor is a generational talent. And to me, it looked like it was maybe kind of a prisoner of the moment thing, being that he was said to be a generational talent. And generational talent is able to just go into just any situation and damn near do anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to say we saw Andrew Luck was generational because of the fact that, even given the fact that he wasn't given a good line, that it's just like that the weapons put around him, it's just like he had a few good weapons over the years, but he wasn't given that like top tier talent. He was still able to win in spite of the circumstances.
Yep.
And, like I said, 33-15 in your first 3 years is actually really damn good.
That's great. That's excellent.
Yeah. But the problem is that, like I said, it doesn't matter how generational your talent is. You can't fight that bug if you're frequently getting hit and you're not being protected.
Right.
And right now, it's just like, I think even Jags fans to a certain extent will go and say that he's not a generational talent, but he's probably just a very, very good quarterback. It's the same way that it's just like they've been throwing around that elite word where we've been saying that, oh yeah, X, Y, and Z guys are elite. Like they try to say, it's Pat Mahomes by himself. Josh Allen is elite. Joe Burrow's elite. They're trying to say that Brock Purdy should be up there. Like they're trying to say Dak should be up there. But when you really look at it, especially this year, these guys, they have their teams. They have their guys in tow, and we're not seeing any type of elite gameplay. I mean, you could possibly make a case for Lamar, even, and as much as I hate to say it, even CJ Stroud to a certain extent. Because I mean, CJ Stroud to an extent, I'm not going to say it's just like it's elite, but it's just like what he's able to do with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. And mind you, these are guys where it's just like the O-line outside of Tunsil is bad. There's really been no running game outside of Devin Singletary coming on the last few weeks. But, I mean, there's no elite quarterback play this year. But the thing is, it's just like guys are still given the benefit of the doubt based on what they might have done a year or two ago. And to me, it's kind of ridiculous. Now, Harish, you're making a lot of faces, so I know you might feel differently about it. But I want to get your thought on that. And I want to get Austin, I want to get your thoughts on it too. It's just like, are we overusing those terms, generational and elite?
Yeah, I would say we are. Like, there's not a single quarterback I look at in the league this year and like, that guy's generational. Now, there are a lot of quarterbacks that make really cool plays and really like nice throws every now and then. But I'm not looking at anybody in the league today and be like, even Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was what, a mid-round pick, a mid-first round pick, basically? Mm-hmm. Or did he hit the top 10?
I think he was 10. I want to say I think he was 10.
Fine, he was 10. He was not very good at Texas Tech. I watched Patrick Mahomes in college. He was not very good. Patrick Mahomes in college is most known for the Patrick Mahomes-Baker Mayfield game in 2018, I believe, the year before they both come out. And I think Baker Mayfield's the number one quarterback, the number one pick in that draft. I believe it's the same draft, yeah.
Oh, no. I think Trubisky was the first one in that draft because that was the same draft with Deshaun Watson and Pat Mahomes.
Okay. That's right. So Patrick's senior year, they play that crazy game in Lubbock. But honestly, beyond that game in Lubbock, Patrick Mahomes is just an okay quarterback. That game really shot him up the charts that year, as most quarterbacks do, right? Like, CJ Stroud. A lot of people thought CJ Stroud was a mid-round pick last year, except for this guy, until they watched that semifinal game in against Georgia, and he dotted them up, right? Because Georgia had the best defense in the nation, and C.J. Stroud would have thrown for like 370 yards and 3 touchdowns, something ridiculous. And then he all of a sudden shot up the draft boards. That's basically what happens these days, right? I'm going to tell you, spoiler alert, Quinn Ewers is going to probably shoot up draft boards after Monday because he's going to dot up that Washington defense because they're garbage. But no, I mean, these guys are just making really good plays. I don't think there's a generational talent. Sorry, Trevor Lawrence is not a generational talent, Giants fan. Sorry. The guy is, it's in year 3, and the dude is still struggling to beat bad teams. And Trevor Lawrence wasn't good in college until he had the great teams that he had for 2 straight years with all the talent that Clemson had offensively when they won back-to-back. So, yeah, it's just such an overused term. I don't even think people know what the words even mean anymore. They just throw it out there because I see a couple of good plays.
Yeah. Then what about you, Austin? Because I know you say, and before we do, Michael Newsom says, I can't decide if Will Levis is more generational or elite. He is a Mayo merchant.
He's a generational Mayo merchant.
He's a generational Mayo merchant. He puts mayo in his coffee. That was a union that was meant to be between Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
All right. And then, Austin, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. We just, as a culture, just throw it around. Just that player's elite, that player's generational. And that's for, like, not just the NFL. That's, like, NBA, MLB, whatever. It's like, yeah, if you compare them to just an average person, sure, they're elite. But, like, you got to compare them to people in that league, like everybody in the NFL. Not everybody in the NFL is elite when you compare them like that.
Yeah.
And we've definitely just thrown it around, and it's just all loosey-goosey. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And then, so, like I said, I think that using those terms is a very prisoner of the moment thing to do, just because of the fact that it's just gotten to the point where everything is being overused so often that it's just like people just want to have those moments where they're trying to say that somebody's the guy. And I mean, if we're looking not just at stats, but looking at overall play, I don't think anybody's kind of that guy this year. I think the only people that you should have in your MVP list, if they're QBs, possibly is going to maybe be Lamar. Maybe. But the thing is, it's just like it's between Tyreek, Christian McCaffrey, and then there's a huge gap in between, like, who should be third.
Yeah, I guess I would agree. Trying to think if there's anybody else.
Probably put Gardner Minshew up there.
Yeah, Gardner is a generational talent.
We're not doing this.
The best, he's a generational talent backup.
Colts versus Raiders. So this one is actually a pivotal AFC matchup, because if we end up winning this game, like I said, Jacksonville ends up losing. That means that we are then going to end up being in the driver's seat in the AFC. So even if the Texans win, us and Texans can win. But like I said, if we go and we handle business, and then Jacksonville loses, this puts us up to number 1. So what are going to be the keys for us to make sure that we don't box ourselves out in this game? And I'll start with you, Austin.
Yeah, so this Raiders defense has been scoring like at least 2 touchdowns a game past few weeks. So don't commit any turnovers first. Run the ball. Got to get JT going, get the offensive line pushing. And then on offense, if Josh Jacobs plays, stop him and stop Devontae Adams. Like, Aiden O'Connell ain't that good. So just do something on offense and we'll be fine.
Okay, what about you, Harish?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in that same boat. You've got to tackle, honestly.
Yeah.
You have to tackle this week. Josh Jacobs, I don't believe played last week.
No,
If I'm not
No,
mistaken.
he didn't.
I don't think he's going to be back this week. Listen, same situation, right? Aiden O'Connell's not very good. He's just a rookie. Devontae Adams is probably going to get his just because of who he is, and we've got a weak secondary.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to tackle because they're looking. Antonio Pierce is a smart guy, and that's what I've learned about him. And this team more mentally tough than I've seen any Raiders team in a very long time.
Yeah,
they're very opportunistic defensively, and they're headhunters when it comes to hunting the ball down. They're trying to take that ball away, and that's basically they're an attacking style defense. They want to take the ball away, and then they want to give their quarterback a short field because they know he's very limited. So you have to take care of the ball. Gardner Minshew can't afford to throw the damn ball away. Stop trying to rush and stop looking like a chicken with his head cut off. Throw the damn ball away.
Even though we do have to say, Gardner Minshew on one play last week, he escaped the pocket and he didn't go sideways. He literally ran up the field for about 15, 20 yards.
He did. Like, I was surprised he knew where the first down marker was because he's so good at sliding short of the first down.
Sliding right before.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're literally looking at the big orange thing in front of you. Do you not notice that you're behind it? Like, come on, man.
Exactly.
And then other times he'll like run right into the defender and try to truck him over. Like, where's that when we try to get a first down and he gets to the line of scrimmage? Like, what are you doing? You're gonna have to play smart. You're gonna have to tap. Like, the defense has got to play sound. I swear, if I see any defender more than 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, I might just not watch the game. Honestly, I'm just so sick of watching this defense. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor's got to be able to run the ball very well. This offensive line also did not play well last week, particularly at the tackles. The guards were okay. The left and the right tackle last week were miserable. Raymond.
Freeland.
Freeland started last week, so I guess Braden was out last week.
Yeah, Braden was out last week. Yep.
Got to get him back. These tackles have got to be better because that was not a very good Falcons defensive line, and they basically took us to school. And if the tackles don't play well, then this line doesn't play well, which is probably true for most offensive lines. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of just fundamental things that this team has to do in order to play well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna say I'm kind of with you on that one. I think it's just like making sure that we just don't fall into the same trap that we did last week of, I'm gonna say just getting caught out there and then basically being stuck when you get caught out there. Because I mean, this team last week, it's just like it looked abysmal. Like Bijan Robinson, and he's great, and I'm not taking anything away from him, but even with the amount of missed tackles that we had, I think we had somewhere around 27 missed tackles last week. And I mean, that's even having like the hand on the guy who has the ball and then still letting him through. So, like I said, that needs to change this week. So what are our score predictions, Austin?
I'm going to say we're going to win 24-17.
24-17, okay. And what about you, Harish?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be much lower than that. I'm thinking like 17-14 Colts win.
Okay. All right. And I do think that this is going to be a game where it's just like this is going to be that rebound game. So I'm good going 24-13.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Colts?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So here's something that's really interesting. I know we're probably out of time. So I like playing with the ESPN playoff machine because, I'm like 6. I like pushing buttons and seeing what happens.
This is true. You like shiny things. I don't blame you.
And I like when shiny things show me things I'd like to watch. So I did a little scenario in my head. And the results of that scenario were actually pretty entertaining. So this week, I had the Colts winning, the Jaguars losing. Stay with me here. And the Texans winning. And then next week, I had the Colts beating the Texans, which would give them division. If the Jaguars lose this week and the Colts win, based on the playoff predictor, right?
Yeah.
Unless the Steelers lose. No. Basically, the Jaguars would be out of the playoffs.
Yes. Okay, I think I did read that earlier.
If they can't win the division, they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
They lose every tiebreaker.
Yes, so they would. Yeah, there would be no way that they'd be able to because of the fact that would immediately put them out. So
come on, Panthers. The Panthers are our ticket to making sure the Jaguars are out of the playoffs. That would be the most epic downfall.
And the Panthers have been looking extremely competitive since they fired Reich.
No way. You're saying that if you have a coach, you can actually play well? Nah, fam.
Your words, not mine. Your words, not mine.
Just don't hire a potato head. It's that simple. It's that simple.
All right, but then you know what? We're gonna get out of here. But you know what? Also, I do want to go ahead and just make sure that we just go ahead and just wish everybody happy holidays. We have New Year's coming up, so please be safe. If you're out partying, out drinking, please don't drive. Make sure that you call somebody, let them know, hey, I need you to come pick me up, or even Uber. Get an Uber. It's cheaper. Do what you have to do, but please be safe. It's not just your life you're gambling with other people's lives too. But other than that, guys, where can the people find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at CookieAustin2.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find me on Twitter at the Uncle Gandhi. And on Thursday nights, you can find me on the Longhorn Fan Battle Podcast with my guy Tim Wayne. Huge show tomorrow night. Getting ready for the Sugar Bowl. College football playoff semifinal. Finally here, game week. So we'll be live tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m.
Nice. All right. And you can find me on Twitter at CJ Colts Fan. Make sure that you find us here every Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. And as always, you know what? This is actually my last one for the year. This is actually the last one for the year. So you know what? As always, people, listen, make sure that at the end of the day, you look yourself directly in the eyes in the mirror, right? Just look, just willful intent. I'm looking you directly in the camera. And you remember to say,